Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to just take a second and imagine a specific time of day. A time when the world is completely silent. The streets are empty, the sun hasn't even crested the horizon yet, and most importantly, there are zero demands on your attention. Well, today we're diving into a story about exactly that magical time of day. We're going to explore how borrowing just a tiny fraction of time from the early dawn can completely rewrite your destiny. It's this powerful concept known as the 5 a.m. rule. And as you'll see, it took one guy from a life of constant, overwhelming stress to a life of complete self-direction. But hey, before we really get into a story, let me ask you a question. Have you ever promised yourself that tomorrow is going to be different? You know the drill. You tell yourself, tomorrow I'm going to wake up early. I'm finally going to start exercising. I'm going to learn that new skill I've been putting off. But then, well, the alarm rings. Your hand reaches out from under those incredibly warm covers, and yep, the snooze button wins. Again. Look, you absolutely aren't alone here. For so many of us, the morning instantly turns into this frantic rush. That rush turns into stress, and the entire day begins with a sense of just complete chaos. We fight this daily battle against the alarm clock, and honestly, it usually completely defeats us. Section 1. The chaos of the morning. So let's set the scene by exploring the fast-paced, deeply stressful, ordinary world of our subject. His name is Daniel. He's a 30-year-old delivery driver, and he is living the exact chaotic reality that so many of us are intimately familiar with. To really appreciate his transformation, we have to look at where he started. His alarm goes off at 7:30 a.m., right? But he just slaps his phone repeatedly without even opening his eyes. It isn't until 7:52 a.m. that the real panic sets in. He wakes up suddenly, groans, and practically jumps out of bed. It's this visceral, frantic rush. He's splashing cold water on his face, his hair is sticking up in every direction, and he is literally eating a single banana while trying to tie his shoes at the exact same time. He grabs his delivery uniform and just bolts out the door. But outside, the morning is already so loud. Cars are packing the streets, people are rushing for their buses, and when he finally starts his delivery van, the clock blinks 8:21 a.m. It's just a terrible, sinking feeling. Another day has already started without him. Now, later that same afternoon, Daniel is dropping off a package at a local bookstore cafe run by a woman named Leah. He's late, he's frantic, and he starts complaining to her about his chaotic morning. But Leah just points out the window to an older man sitting at a small table. She tells Daniel that this man arrives every single morning at 5 a.m. While Daniel is frantically slapping his alarm, this guy is calm, focused, reading, and enjoying his tea before the city even thinks about waking up. It's a night and day difference. Daniel kind of brushes it off, thinking, well, I'm just not a morning person. But the image of that quiet, unbrushed man, it completely sticks in his mind. Section 2. An unexpected 5 a.m. invitation. And that image really sets the stage for what happens next. 2 nights later, Daniel is physically forced out of his comfort zone and straight into the unknown. Imagine this. It's 4:58 in the morning, and your phone suddenly buzzes in the pitch dark. Daniel opens one bleary eye to see a message from Leah. It just says, "Come to the cafe balcony at 5. Trust me." He almost ignores it. I mean, it's warm in bed, and 5 a.m. feels unnaturally early. But curiosity is a powerful thing, isn't it? It pushes him out of bed, he throws on a hoodie, and he walks out into what feels like a completely different version of his own city. Out on the street, the atmosphere is just incredible. The sky is this deep, tranquil blue. The streetlights are glowing, and there is absolutely zero traffic, no noise. When he reaches the cafe balcony, Leah is actually waiting there with tea, sitting right alongside that calm man from the window, whose name is Marcus. Marcus points out this hidden cityscape to Daniel. Before the rest of the world has even stirred, there's this quiet, peaceful rhythm to the city. A bakery worker rolling out bread trays, a lone jogger finding peace by the park gate, a delivery truck quietly unloading vegetables. It's beautiful. Between 5 and 7 a.m., the world is silent. There are no interruptions, just time. Section 3. The 30-Day Morning Challenge. And this brings us to a core philosophy that Marcus introduces to Daniel. It's built on this idea that life quietly begins much, much earlier than the 9 a.m. rush that most people simply accept as reality. Marcus physically demonstrates this. He opens a notebook and draws a small rectangle, and he tells Daniel, "This is your day." Then he shades in 2 small blocks right at the very beginning of the rectangle. I love this visual because it is profoundly simple but incredibly powerful. Those first 2 shaded blocks, they represent the 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. window. As Marcus explains it, these 2 hours belong to you before the world takes the rest. It's all about claiming your day before the chaos of emails, obligations, and those loud streets can steal your focus.
So, to put this into practice, Leah and Marcus challenged Daniel to try this out for just 30 days. And here are the exact actionable steps Marcus gives him. Rule 1, wake up at 5 a.m. Rule 2, use the first hour to learn something new. Rule 3, use the second hour to build your body and meticulously plan your day. Daniel scratches his head and admits that this sounds, well, incredibly painful. But Marcus, with the wisdom of someone who has really mastered this routine, wisely reminds him that almost all growth feels uncomfortable at first. You really have to push through that initial friction to reach the reward.
Section 4, borrowing time from the dawn. Okay, let's see how this actually plays out as Daniel bravely attempts his very first 5 a.m. wake up. Grounding ourselves in his reality for a second, that first morning is tough. The alarm rings at 5 a.m., he groans, his blanket feels amazing, his eyes feel incredibly heavy. But he remembers his promise, so he forces himself up and opens the window. The cold, fresh morning air hits his face, waking him up. He sits down in his silent apartment and writes down 3 goals: better fitness, new skills, and saving money. Then he dedicates that first hour to learning. He opens his laptop and starts watching digital marketing tutorials. Sure, his eyes are sleepy, but he pushes through. At 6 a.m., he steps outside for a walk around the empty block as the sunlight slowly touches the rooftops. And you know what? By 7 a.m., before his old day would have even started, he feels this unique, empowering calmness. He's already accomplished something meaningful. Over the next 30 days, we can trace Daniel's undeniable momentum. Now, keeping it real, some of those mornings were absolutely brutal. Sometimes he definitely almost turned the alarm off, but consistency is key here. In week 1, walking under that purple glowing sky, he notices his mind starting to clear up. Ideas start flowing, and he writes them down. By week 2, that dedicated learning hour pays off. He finishes several complex online lessons. In week 3, he takes real action, using his planning hour to design a simple website for a local shop. And finally, in week 4, he's back on that cafe balcony showing this fully functioning website to Marcus and Leah. Think about that. He built an entire new skill set, just 2 hours at a time. The crucial point here is summarized perfectly by Marcus Baumann as he proudly looks over Daniel's new digital marketing website on that balcony. He looks at Daniel and says, "You borrowed 2 hours from the morning, and now your future is paying interest." It is such a brilliant way to look at time. You aren't just losing sleep. You are actually investing those early hours into an account that pays massive dividends in your personal and professional life down the road. Section 5, the compound interest of time. Fast forward 6 months, and the ultimate transformation in Daniel's life, his career, and honestly, his mindset is clear as day. Daniel is no longer driving deliveries. He has completely transitioned into a successful, self-directed freelance digital marketer. He still begins his mornings at 5 a.m., but now he spends them building his own projects. But here's the real secret you need to take away from this. While the career shift was massive, Daniel realized that the most important change wasn't the money, the work, or the outward success. It was the quiet, internal confidence that came from winning his morning. Taking control of his day before the sun came up gave him control over his entire life. Let's break down the hard math of time for a second, because the logic here backs up the emotional journey perfectly. The magic number is 14. If you carve out just 2 hours a day, that equals 14 hours a week. That compounds into hundreds of extra hours a year. Guys, that is more than enough time to learn a completely new skill, build a business from scratch, drastically improve your physical health, or simply become the person you actually want to be. The 5 a.m. rule isn't about waking up early just to brag about it on the internet. It's about deliberately creating quiet hours that belong solely to you, leveraging small, daily habits to create truly powerful long-term change. Which brings us to the ultimate question I want to leave you with today. I want you to think about your own mornings. Think about that tiny, critical moment of decision tomorrow when your alarm rings. Somewhere between the pitch dark of night and the sunrise exists an hour that can quietly reshape your entire life. So when that alarm goes off tomorrow, what will you choose? Will you start your day, or will you sleep through it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a little curiosity for your own early mornings.